Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. Today we are making the Negroni. We start with a mixing glass with ice. We're going to add gin, 1 ounce. One ounce Campari. One ounce sweet vermouth. Next, we're going to stir until well chilled, it says. Then, we're going to strain it into a rocks glass with a large ice cube. But I don't have any large ice cubes, so. Here we go. The Negroni. Garnish with an orange peel, if you have one. Or a slice. It's alright. A lot better than the last drink I had that had Campari in it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
Suppose your spouse just got a great new job in a town where pleasure is the cardinal rule, where the ultimate goal is to turn you into the witch you were destined to be. How long do you think you could resist temptation? In this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, Necromancy, no one seems to resist for very long, except for the lovely Lori, whose husband Frank falls within a week. So are you a Frank, or are you a Lori? A trip to Lilith, California might be the only way to find out, but I have my guess. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm good. Good. Hanging in there. You know, living the dream.
Glad someone is.
Do we need to say anything about Village of the Damned, Karen? Our last episode.
I think we nailed it.
Think we did? Okay.
If we didn't, our listener can let us know.
Yes.
How would our listener let us know if we screwed something up, Greg?
Well, they could email us at info@scaryspirits.com, Karen.
Actually, I prefer they email Greg at scaryspirits.com.
They can do that too. Or they
'Cause
can go to
he
the
probably did
website
it.
and click on the contact us and put it there.
Oh, on the website, you can also sign up for our new newsletter.
Yes. The new newsletter.
Won't be new much longer, but it's new now.
It's fabulous.
It is. So sign up to keep up with all our shenanigans.
Okay, Karen, I believe this week was my choice. Was it? Was it not?
Yeah, this fine piece of cinema was your choice.
Yes, it was, Karen.
What did you choose, Greg?
I chose the 1972 film Necromancy.
And why, pray tell, did you choose this?
Well, it came out on September 20th, Karen, 1972. So it's well, shit, that means it's
50th?
something like that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's 2022.
Yeah. Okay. 50th. That doesn't sound right, though. But I guess it is. It just seems like a long time ago.
What do you think 50 years ago was the 1950s? What?
I don't know, Karen. You know how it is when you reach a certain age.
Well, I met that age a long time ago before you.
I know, because you're much
a long
older.
time before you.
So yeah, it's 50th anniversary, right?
I don't know. That's the math I did, but
And plus, it stars the lovely Pamela Franklin, Karen,
she is lovely.
and
I'm
Orson
wondering-
Welles. And I was curious. I was like, okay,
Did Orson Welles need money or something?
I don't know.
Well, we'll get into it, but not his finest performance, I don't think.
Don't know. His performance was pretty good.
All right. We're going to have some discussion on this one.
Maybe not his best choice of films to do though, but maybe he got a big paycheck. I don't know. Who knows? See if we can
Okay,
look it
so
up.
it's the 50th anniversary and it had some actors you liked in it.
The
and
lovely Pamela Franklin, Karen.
And it premiered near when our podcast will be.
Yes, the
dropping.
50th anniversary was yesterday, Karen.
Okay, gotcha. All right, we're all on the same page now. Do you have a drink to go with this, Greg?
Do I? I do, Karen.
And what's that, Greg?
It's called the Negroni.
Interesting. Why did you choose that drink?
Because apparently Orson Welles really enjoyed it.
Okay. How do you make it?
We're going to need 1 ounce of gin, 1 ounce of Campari, and 1 ounce of sweet vermouth.
Sounds simple enough.
Yep. Going to put that into a mixing glass with ice, Karen. And then we're going to stir until well chilled.
Ooh.
Then we're going to strain it into a rocks glass over a large ice cube. I didn't have large ice cubes, so I used 4 smaller ice cubes, but 2 of them are connected together. You know how ice cubes do that thing.
So you have one medium.
No, I have 2. I have 2 large ice cubes, but they're oddly shaped.
Okay. You have
Then-
artistic large ice cubes.
Yes. No, they're kind of humpy.
Okay.
Then you can garnish with a orange peel or even an orange slice if you so desire. I did not, Karen. Did
I
you?
did. I did.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. I put an orange peel on it.
Mm. That's how you make the Negroni.
And Orson Welles enjoyed this drink, you said.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He praised it. And back before there was social media, he wrote in letters to everybody how great it was.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's give our listener time to make their Negroni.
All right. Pretty simple. Won't take you long. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
You think this was the drink in the film, Karen?
I don't know. I mean, if he was drinking
I didn't know what it looked like until
it looked like sort of blood.
Yeah,
Though.
it looked ready. It looked ready. It looked ready.
Had a redness to it.
Yeah, it looked bloody, but
they did say it was bitter.
She did. She didn't complain it was bitter. This could have been the drink they were drinking.
Well, if it was his favorite, maybe it
at their party.
Yes. Let's just say it was. Excellent drink choice, Greg.
I thought about it while I was watching it, and I'm like, I wonder if that's it. And then when I made it, I'm like, well, it's red. It's a red drink.
It's red. It looked a little thicker, whatever they were drinking, but
yeah,
almost like strawberry quick, but deeper red.
I read on the back of the Campari that there is a drink you can make with Campari with orange juice. I don't know.
I think it was supposed to look like blood, don't you?
Probably.
I mean, well, we'll get to it, but it's in a goblet and everything.
It is. It's not in a rocks glass with a large ice cube, which
it is not.
I'm sure the way Orson Welles would have enjoyed his Negroni, Karen.
Of course.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis for this film?
I do. I actually have two, because one that I found was completely wrong. And there's been no remakes or anything, have there?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So.
Okay. Go on. Tell me a story.
But I got this one first before I had watched the movie.
Right.
I looked up the plot summary, and this is what I
So this is the one you had before you watched it.
Before I watched it.
Okay. Go on.
Grieving the death of his child, Frank takes up an advertising position with a toy company, a front for a local occult in Lilith, California. Frank soon becomes the head of the witches' coven, where he seeks powers to raise his son from the dead.
Yeah, that's the same one I have. It's not really accurate at all.
It's not accurate at all.
It's half accurate. Maybe 3/4.
So if you combine the first sentence of that one with Mr. Cato is the head of a witches' coven in the town of Lilith, where he needs the powers of Laurie Brandon to raise his son from the dead.
Much better.
Well, if you combine them, I mean, Frank's actually in it.
Is the second one like a full synopsis that you found?
It was just, I think it was either on IMDb or...
Yeah, but it was the full synopsis. You didn't pick and choose. Yeah.
No. That was all it said. I couldn't find one that was accurate.
Okay. I'll combine them on the website. In the show notes, Karen.
You'll edit that even and make it right.
Where I put all the important information about what we talk about. And sometimes there are links.
Ooh, fancy.
Thank you, Karen, for those two brief synopsises.
Synopsi?
Synopsi. Yeah, sure. Whatever. So,
You're
Karen,
welcome. Sorry.
Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did. I paid the $1.99.
Okay.
Did you?
Yes, I did, Karen.
Excellent.
So the first thing I saw was rated 13 plus. No other warnings. No warnings about devil worship, witchcraft, sorcery, smoking, drinking, sexual content.
Yeah, for 13 plus, it's a little racy.
Then we see a dictionary, a man turning the page in a dictionary. It looks like a man's hand.
Well, yeah, he's got a pinky ring.
And the title comes up, Necromancy. And then there's a narrator reading what it is, right? Definition. I don't think he has his finger over the dictionary definition. So it's not that, but basically explains what it is. I didn't know that it was a life for a life thing. Is that really the thing, or is that something they did?
I don't know. I hadn't heard that either, but he says necromancy is the art of reviving the dead and the most dangerous of all occult rituals. Involvement with evil spirits, the person performing the act, if they're successful, will result in the death of that person because he or she must adhere to the ancient will, a life for a life.
Right.
Creepy.
Then we have credits superimposed over the lovely Pamela Franklin floating in space.
Yes.
Lost in space.
With a frightened look on her face.
Took me a while to realize, oh shit, that's Pamela Franklin.
Yeah, it was odd. And she's definite, as I said, a silent scream, perhaps. And then I said, definitely a silent scream. She's screaming.
Then we cut to a hospital. He wakes up in a hospital. And she's screaming then. She wants to know where her baby is. Where's my baby? Where's my baby? We see, well, almost everything from her perspective, right? Like she's looking up and we see the doctor and the nurse. And
it looks like they're using a fisheye lens,
yes.
To kind of distort the doctor and the nurse.
Yes. And he says, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. You'll have the opportunity to have lots of babies. And she says, I want my baby.
They just basically give her a sedative.
Yeah. Then she falls asleep and she wakes up in her bedroom, right? We're in her bedroom with her and Frank. Well, she's not sleeping. They're not sleeping at this point.
No, but there's a time jump.
There is a time jump. Apparently she's been in the hospital for some time. Yes. And she just got home from the hospital. And her baby was stillborn. I guess the doctor says she thought it would be a good idea for them to leave Los Angeles. So Frank took this job in Lilith, California, Karen.
Yeah, the doctor wants her to relax and enjoy herself so she can forget that her baby was born dead, which they kind of do. It's a weird kind of, they're all lovey-dovey. She starts asking questions about things. He gets mad, leaves. He comes back. They're all lovey-dovey. She asks some more questions. He gets mad.
Well, he wants to go to sleep and she starts, kissing on him and stuff to wake him up. And then she starts asking him questions.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. It was a weird relationship through the whole thing. But he wants to get sleep and she wants to know, what did he tell his boss about her? And he gets mad that she's asking questions. And then he says he told Mr. Cato, who's the boss, what a nice, quiet wife you were, never complaining, never nagging, never questioning.
Yep.
And then she says she wants to know again so it is kind of an odd question. Mm-hmm. What'd you tell your boss about me? What'd you tell your boss about me? I mean, why would you even care? But.
And she asks about the town Lilith.
He does tell her that his boss is really into the occult.
Yeah. And he also tells her that he told his boss that Lori was born with a veil.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
Excellent. So it's very rare. And I'm going to tell you what it is, and then I'm going to quit. I'm going to ask you a question because I know you're going to ask me a car question. I should be paying
attention, and
you're going to ask me car questions later.
I'm not, because I meant to, but I.
Okay, good, because I was watching the car going, damn it, and then there's another car, and I was like, damn it. Okay, veiled births, as they're referred to, are essentially medical anomalies. What it is the baby is born encased in their amniotic sac. So they're delivered still in the sac. The water never breaks, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're veiled. Sometimes they're called mermaid babies, but it's very rare. So how rare do you think it is? I'm going to say out of 80,000 live births, how many do you think are veiled births?
80,000. I'm going to say 33.
1. So it's 1 in 80,000.
Well, it's close.
So it's pretty rare. And I'd never heard of it before.
I hadn't either.
So interesting. Some people say, I'm sure, superstition wise, it makes you very special. Of course, because it's so rare and you do survive. So.
Well, there's a risk you won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would guess. But they can be either C-section or birth canal.
I imagine more of them are C-sections, right?
They are, yeah. But most people, when they're having C-sections, though, their water has broken.
Oh, has it?
I would guess so. Or they probably break it.
Well, they schedule it. I mean, they're like, hey, can you come in next week to have your baby?
True. Maybe they break it.
I don't know. Okay. I was wondering what the hell that was. And then Lori explains the meaning of the word Lilith, Karen.
Well, I have more information about Lilith, too.
I was hoping. Go on.
Well, his new job is in a town called Lilith.
Yeah.
And they say it's about 200 miles from where they are now. So 200 miles from LA.
LA.
I'm assuming it's not real. I've never heard of it.
The sign looked kind of fake when they were driving into town.
Yes. Lilith is a female demonic figure of Jewish folklore. And she's presumed to be derived from Mesopotamian demons. She's known, the evil she does is against children and women in childbirth. And it can be countered by wearing an amulet bearing the names of certain angels.
So what is it in the Christian tradition?
Well,
I know there's something in it.
Yes. So she is, it's not 100% clear. Some people say she's
one of those banned books of the Bible, Karen, about Lilith.
Go
on.
She's depicted as the mother of from Adam and Eve's demonic offspring, following his separation from Eve. But she's also known as his first wife. And the difference between Eve and Lilith is Eve was created from Adam's rib, but Lilith was made from the same soil as Adam. So they're more equal because God created them both from the same soil. And she left Adam. She left, I think, on her own term. Well, she just left the Garden of Eden because she did not want to be subservient to her husband. So she walked out, and they tried to get her to come back.
Good for her, Karen.
It says 3 angels tried in vain to force her to return.
Yeah, screw them angels.
And
you go, girl.
She never did. And sometimes they say her children are the incubi or the succubi, or later children, with an angel, an archangel named Samuel.
Whatever. They're just smearing her name.
Right. But basically, she was made from the same soil as Adam. And I think God said, oops, and then made Eve from his rib so that she would be subservient. Although, she wasn't really either.
Women.
Can't control them. But she's a feminist icon for that reason.
Yes.
Because she basically flipped off Adam and left.
Yeah, I like her too.
She has her good points. But yes, they're going to the town of Lilith.
And Frank tells Lori that they will try to have another baby once they're settled in Lilith.
And Frank also says his boss told him about his son who was killed in a car accident. So he does tell Lori that too.
Okay. Next, cut to alarm clock, 7:30 a.m., Karen, or 7:28 or something like that. Whatever. It's going off. And it looks like the Big Ben alarm clock, Karen, but it's buzzing. It's not ringing, which I thought was odd.
Okay, but before that, she has a dream, right? Do you remember her dream? She's dreaming that it sounds like her parents.
It's true. Yeah, she dreams. And we we hear her parents talking about her being born with a veil.
Yes. And her father says she's completely normal, but her mother keeps saying she's special. She's special. And then what happens is we see
a memory.
Yes.
Of a girl drowning. And apparently she said, I don't want you to die. I want you to live. And then the girl revived after they tried to give her oxygen, Karen. They're giving her oxygen.
Yeah, they weren't giving her mouth to mouth or trying to get the water out of her lungs.
When was that a thing? Was that after 72?
I don't think so. I don't know, but
okay. So they weren't giving her like mouth to mouth or pulmonary resuscitation or whatever.
Or turning her on her side and trying to get the water out. Like you push the belly to try to get the water out. They did it in cartoons. Remember when they would push the belly and the fountain of water would come out of them?
Yes, they did. Then we cut to an alarm clock, Karen, 7.
But that comes back later. The fact that she can perhaps revive the dead.
7:28, 7:30, something like that. Alarm going off. Frank brings her some orange juice, tells her, hey, it's time to get up. We got a big day. And Lori spills the orange juice.
Yeah, he's already awake and she's tired, but she spills it.
And then she's cleaning it up and we pan across the textured plush carpeting, Karen, to them picking up their bags to leave.
It wasn't shag carpeting, though.
It was not.
No.
It was not. So they're coming down the stairs with their bags, leaving the house, and the phone
So it's a
rings.
time jump because we
It
go
is.
from her sopping up her spilled orange juice to them leaving with their bags. And they're coming down the stairs, like you said.
And the phone rings. And Lori thought that they had already disconnected it. But apparently it's someone from Lilith wanting to know if they will arrive in time to have lunch with Mr. Cato. Next, we cut to traveling in a station wagon on the holiday road, Karen.
It's a montage. They're driving through the desert, basically, it looked like, didn't it?
Yep, pretty barren. And Lori's still asking questions.
Yeah, she says
about what he was asked in his job interview, right?
For some reason, she knows what the questions were. She says, don't you think it's weird that they wanted to know if we were atheist? And she said, isn't there a law against asking questions like that? But Frank doesn't really answer her.
Well, he says, well, maybe he thinks religious people are more upstanding. And then she says, well, yeah, but we're not.
They're not religious.
Right.
Not that they're not upstanding.
No.
They're not religious.
And then they're talking, and all of a sudden they come upon an oncoming vehicle, and you have to swerve to miss it. I think the oncoming vehicle is crossing the double yellow line here. That's what I think. It
looked a little out of control.
And the other vehicle goes off the cliff and explodes.
To dramatic music.
Yeah. And Pamela, she must like freaking jump down there because she's right there. Well, it's on fire.
She's standing like 3 feet from it, and it looks 3 times bigger than her. Like the car is huge next to her, and she keeps seeing a hand in the burning flames. But she's standing right there.
And she finds a doll.
You jump down the cliff, like you said. She rappelled down to get there. And yeah, she picks up the doll.
Yeah, I think
and I said
Frank said he's going to go call the police. I don't know where he's going.
She should get away from the car.
Then we have a police car and helicopter and Lori montage, I wrote.
Yeah, the police do get there.
But it's a police car, it's a helicopter, it's Lori, it's a police car,
right.
It's a helicopter.
And the policeman says, get away from the car.
Get away from there. So next they're driving back on the holiday road, Karen. And Lori finds fingernail clippings in the pocket of the doll.
Which would be weird enough for me to get rid of the doll. Wouldn't it be weird enough for you?
Mm-hmm. So now I have a place to put my fingernail clippings.
And she goes, that's weird. And I thought having that doll is weird.
So they're driving along, and apparently the station wagon runs out of gas, Karen, even though he just filled it an hour ago. I don't know what time has to do with it, but he just filled it an hour ago. So he decides he's going to walk into town, get some gas.
Does he all of a sudden have a Southern accent?
I don't know. That's how you say it, going into town. And of course, Lori's left in the car, but she begins to hear voices, so she leaves to go investigate.
Still carrying the doll. She walks up a small hill. She walks in one direction, like she's very determined. She seems like she knows where she's going.
She knows where the voices are. She's following the voices. She happens upon a funeral scene in a meadow, Karen, under a tree. And Orson Welles is preaching. And we see a tombstone that says, Timothy, sleep with love until someday. That's what's inscribed.
Yeah, and everyone's standing around, but no one seems to notice her.
Nope.
So at this point, I'm thinking, is she dead? Like, did she die in the hospital?
That's pretty good, Karen.
Because
I'll give you credit for that. That's pretty good. But she's already been in the hospital in childbirth, and we know her kid died. And she's been in a car accident.
Right. Standing right next to the car, like to the point where she should have been sweating. She was so close to it. And plus she couldn't hold on to the glass of orange juice. Right. She dropped the orange juice. And I thought, is she dead? What's happening here?
But Lori looks in the casket and sees the boy first.
Yeah. She sees Timothy.
And then she sees herself. And she drops the doll when she sees that, and she bends down to pick it up, and when she stands back up, everyone's gone, and all that's left is the headstone. No casket.
Which looks like a really old headstone. like 1800s or something.
That's the way we make them, Karen.
Oh, gotcha.
So she runs back to the car, and of course, Frank is back from town by now with the gas.
Yeah, she must have been there quite a while.
Yeah, because he had to buy a fucking gas can and fill it with gas because he didn't have a gas can when he left. Next, we see a sign that says Lilith.
It's about 1 foot by 6 inches or something.
White sign with black lettering. And the road is blocked, Karen.
Well, they go over a bridge.
Yeah,
so
they
there's like a creek on the boundary. I wouldn't call it a river. It's a creek.
Yes. Then they come upon the roadblock. There's an armed man standing there. And he walks over to the passenger side of the vehicle, which I thought was interesting. Looks in and walks away. Doesn't say a word. Just opens the gate so they can go in.
Yeah, and Lori's like, well, that was weird. And Frank doesn't say anything.
Yeah, Lori wonders if he is there to keep people in or keep people out.
And he doesn't answer her again.
Nope. Just driving. Next, we cut to them having lunch with Mr. Cato, who's Orson Welles.
And I wrote, it's the same guy from the funeral. So she recognizes them all, but doesn't say anything.
And he's talking about his toys. He seems obsessed with his toys. So I don't know.
He's sitting in a very gothic chair, very ornate. And I said he speaks like he's on drugs, but whatever.
And they talk about the occult and black arts. I guess he asked if they believe in whatever. And he offers Lori a book of magical incantations, Karen.
Well, he says he has a library of thousands of books, every written book on the subject. And he knows the contents of all the books, like he's read them all. It's the Grand Grimoire is what he gives her, right?
Yeah, something like that. At first she says no, she's not interested, but then she says, yeah, she takes it, but we learned that she says she won't read it. We don't see her saying that, but that's what John says.
And she does.
Or Frank says, she says.
Yeah, and she says he knows she was at the funeral today. And she doesn't like the way he was looking at her.
Next, we see Lori and Frank arguing in their room. This is their house, right?
Yes, they've gone to their house.
So it's a furnished house, and they're in their bedroom in their furnished house that Mr. Cato has provided for them, I'm assuming.
Yes.
But Lori does not like Mr. Cato. And we see the girl from the funeral earlier there is listening.
Yeah, she's frustrated. Well, they're both frustrated.
Right? Priscilla.
She's insisting that what she saw was real. Frank says she has a vivid imagination. He doesn't really believe her, and he's getting frustrated. And doesn't she think it's strange that he was offered such a great job, which is a little insulting to him? And, And
we learn that Priscilla knows the girl who was killed in the car accident. Her name was Jenny.
Well, she recognizes the doll. And she asks Lori if she picked up the doll at Jenny's accident.
He actually takes it from her, says, I'll get rid of it. And Lori says, no, I want to keep it. Pulls it back.
She likes dolls with fingernails, clippings in them.
Yeah.
Gross.
Priscilla tells them that Jenny lived in the same house they are in now. And we learn that it's Mr. Cato's son who was buried outside town.
So Lori asks about the funeral because she knows Priscilla was there. She recognizes her. And the girl denies that there's been a funeral because she says there hasn't been a funeral in Lilith in a long time. And then Lori asks about the grave outside of town. And that's when Priscilla tells her it's Mr. Cato's son. And Mr. Cato says that his son is just resting and doesn't accept the fact that he's truly dead. That's why he's buried off by himself and not with the others.
Next, we see Lori in bed reading the book she said she wouldn't read. She reads about hurting a person via a doll. I think it's like voodoo dolls shit, right?
It's a hex doll.
But you got to have like some personal article of the person, like hair or fingernails or whatever, right?
Yeah, so she recognizes that the doll has fingernail clippings in it. And she says the hex doll has to be pierced with something sharp or destroyed in some manner to cause the death.
Next, we see Lori shopping.
Well, the house that she has is a very nice Victorian style house. All the houses are older style. All the houses
style. I liked. Yeah, I liked them all.
I think it's the grocery store she goes to, right?
Yeah. Of course, they all have,
There's occult items in there. Yes.
Eye of Newt and whatever.
Well, they're all buying herbs and stuff.
And Lori meets her neighbor, Georgette.
Yeah, she just lives 2 houses down from her.
And Georgette says they're leaving because she's pregnant, although her husband doesn't know yet.
Georgette invites Lori over to her house for coffee, and Lori goes. And that's when she says she'll be leaving soon because we find out kids aren't allowed in Lilith. But Georgette tells her that she'll meet other people, that they're very friendly because Mr. Cato always throws a huge party for the newcomers. But Lori doesn't like Georgette's coffee because it's so bitter.
Next, we see Lori and Frank talking, and she wants Frank to quit his job. And Frank mentions that the toys are a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know what the toys are. They never show us,
either.
but I am curious.
Because he does say toys for children, toys for adults.
I know. But she says that he agreed to leave, but now he's not going to. And she's complaining that Frank thinks his job is more important than her. And he says he can't quit his job and run away with her because of some fantasy in her head. He likes the town and likes his job, and they're going to stay for a while. So they're arguing again.
And we see them in bed, right?
Yeah.
But they're on opposite sides of the bed now.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh, I did. Because I was like, what the hell was that all about?
Maybe they switch it up.
Come on, Karen.
Some people do.
All right, whatever. I've slept on the same side of the bed all my
Variety's the
married
spice
life.
of life, Greg.
Both my marriages, actually.
I will say the one thing I don't like, I felt like through the whole thing, the lovely Pamela Franklin, she comes off as, I don't know what the right word is. She's not nagging him exactly, but she's very.
What's the script?
Well, I know, but I'm saying the way she's presented is very, just everything is wrong, from the job to the people to she's just not happy about anything, which she just lost a baby. So,
She thinks it's weird. It is weird.
well, it is weird.
And
but
it gets weirder, Karen.
The fact that he just keeps ignoring her. So she kind of just keeps, I don't know, what's the right, it's not nagging and it's not complaining. She doesn't come off well. They don't look like they have a very good relationship. Mm-hmm. She has to keep talking to him and he basically just evades or ignores or doesn't really help her feel more comfortable. I mean, she keeps saying it's weird, and it is weird. She's right. It just doesn't seem like a good they go, oh, I love you, and then they're fighting. Oh, I love you so much, and then they're fighting. It's weird. The whole thing is weird.
Next, we see Lori on a swing, Karen, and Priscilla walks up. Lori tells Priscilla that they are leaving, and she asks Priscilla all kinds of questions too, just like she does Frank. Like, I would be offended if I lived in the town and some outsider came in asking all kinds of questions like she is, right?
Well, she's implying it's strange.
She wonders why there are no old people in Lilith.
She says Mr. Cato has you living in the past. Why do you stay? I can see why the old people would stay, because old people like the past, But why do the young people stay? And then Priscilla tells her there are no old people. Everyone's under 30. We won't be there.
That's the way Mr. Cato wants it.
Mr. Cato is not under 30,
no.
though.
You know how old Orson Welles is at the time of this film, Karen?
62.
57.
He don't look good.
No, it doesn't. It's all
he
that
looks
Negroni.
62. Yeah, he looks 62.
Doesn't look like he missed many meals, Karen, just saying.
No, but he has a pleasant voice.
He does.
I will say that. I think he's phoning it in, but that's just me.
I don't know.
I do think his voice is very pleasant, nice and deep and strong, and a good, even though the movie is a bit odd, it's a good casting. He's a good leader.
And Priscilla tells Lori that not only does Mr. Cato own the town and all the buildings in it, he owns the people in it as well. Next we cut and we see Lori and Priscilla in the store, and Priscilla runs it now that Jenny is gone.
But is it a different store? This looks
This
like
is a
more
different store.
It's like an antique store or something.
Yeah. And they talk about the book Mr. Cato gave Lori. Of course,
And
Priscilla's
also
read it
that
as
he
well.
doesn't permit any children to live in his town.
And Lori says that Frank is going to tell Mr. Cato today that they are leaving. Cut to Frank and Lori in the bedroom, and
They're arguing again.
Frank says, "Oh, Mr. Cato persuaded me to stay a week." He says, "Give it a week. If we still want to leave, it will be so with his blessing, and he'll give us a month's pay, Karen."
And then Lori says, Mr. Cato has already gotten to you. And she doesn't want to go to the party tonight.
Yep, party tonight. They're getting ready for the party. But apparently, Frank talks her into it.
That's the word they bicker all the time, these two. Frank says it won't look right if you don't go with me. And she says she'll stay the week in Lilith with him because she loves him.
And then she gone.
What do you mean?
She gone. She's leaving.
Oh, I thought you meant she's dead.
No. Gone.
She's going to leave after that.
So we're at the party and everybody's in there drinking their cocktails and
out of goblets.
Talking about Lilith and how it's all about pleasure and astrology. I'm a Capricorn. What are you? And superstition and I don't know. Lori ain't into all that shit and they can tell. But she meets Nancy, right? Yeah, Nancy has ESP.
Yes.
Tells her what she's thinking.
She does say she thinks her drink tastes strange.
Bitter. Next, we see Mr. Cato encouraging Lori to drink. Have a drink. And she takes a drink and says it's bitter. Then she looks in her drink and sees things, Karen. She sees Baphomet.
Oh, is that who she sees?
Yes.
I just said she sees the painting she saw and then the devil. So it's Baphomet.
Not the devil, Karen.
My bad.
It's a deity, but not the devil.
You would know. They do say that pleasure is the cardinal rule in Lilith. And she does look in her cup and she sees herself walking through some doors and she's in a different outfit than she's wearing. She sees the Baphomet painting and then she sees Baphomet and then she sees Mr. Cato laughing. And then it comes right back to the party.
And next she's shuffling tarot cards, Karen, to do a reading.
Yes.
And the guy who we learn later is Dr. J.
Yeah.
Turns over the devil card and it turns in.
Well, he tells her she's going to be able to see into a window, like it's going to open a window for her as he puts the cards down.
He puts the devil card and it turns into Mr. Cato.
Yes.
He puts the card of the lovers down and it turns into Franken. Looks like Nancy. Karen.
Yeah. At first I thought it was her, but it's not. It's Nancy.
Nancy. And her two bare breasts, Karen.
Yep.
And another card, Death. And the card turns into Lori.
In the grave. Yeah. So
in
she
the
sees
casket
herself
we saw
in the casket.
earlier.
Sorry. Yeah.
Next, we see Lori getting up in the middle of the night. She makes herself some coffee. And
which
seems
is what
bitter.
you want in the middle, what you want in the middle of the night.
Everything seems bitter to her for some reason.
Well, that's what I mean. She just is never happy with anything. But maybe the coffee they sell in the store is bitter. It's probably got some sort of drugs or something in it.
She hears something and then she sees an animal. I don't know what kind of animal it was.
Yeah, was it a fox or a coyote or something?
Something like that. I didn't rewind the watch. And she screams, drops the cup, cutting her feet as she steps on it. Frank comes and carries her upstairs and mends her wounds, Karen.
Yes, he takes care of her feet.
He was taking care of her feet earlier, too, in the beginning.
Yeah, he likes feet, I think. Or she has very nice feet.
Yes. Well, she is Pamela Franklin, Karen.
She was nice everything.
Hello, boys and girls. Karen and I hope you are enjoying the podcast. You know what I think can make your listening experience even better? A delicious themed adult beverage. You can find all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com, in the recipe den. Tune in every Wednesday and join us for a drink. Now, back to the show. Next, we see Lori walking.
She's on her way to the doctor. But she's walking just fine with these very thick cuts on her feet. I was impressed.
Did you make a note of her shoes, Karen?
I did not.
What about her mini dress outfit?
It was very short. I did make a note of that. It is very 70s.
It is.
The whole
72
wardrobe. But she's just I mean, if you really cut your feet that bad and you were walking, there'd be blood all over everywhere.
Well, apparently Frank did a good job. But she sees a boy on a swing set inside a fenced-in playground or some shit.
Yeah, I thought it was a playground at first, but all that's in there is the swing set with 3 swings hanging off of it. There's no, maybe behind it there's a basketball court or something.
I was thinking tennis, but
something. But it's very bare except for the swing set.
Yep.
And of course it's concrete. Remember back in the day?
Oh yeah, of course.
Where we would jump off the swings onto concrete, do our half gainer.
We never did that at Milford, Karen.
You did.
You might have done that at the parochial schools.
No, the parochial schools didn't have equipment.
Okay. Well, now that you mentioned, I think Milford, Maine, it was on blacktop.
But over on
elementary school, it wasn't. My elementary school was not.
Well, ours was. What is that? The elementary school.
Miami.
Little Miami.
No, just Miami Elementary.
Yeah, that's where I went, and it was on concrete.
Okay.
In my head, I envisioned the slide is like 20 feet tall and metal that burned your ass as you went down, and multiple kids broke their arms falling off the ladder. In my mind, as a first grader, it was very tall.
Okay.
But yeah, right onto the blacktop.
Lori goes to see the doctor, Dr. J, the tarot card reader.
But she realizes, she's thinking, why is this kid here in Lilith? They're supposed to be children. No kids. Yeah.
Right. And she tells the doctor about seeing the boy, and he doesn't really appear to believe her, but he doesn't really say anything about it. He's like avoiding.
Mm-hmm. Like everyone she talks to.
So next, Lori leaves the doctor and she sees the boy again.
Well, the doctor invites her and Frank over for dinner.
Yes, they do. So Lori leaves, sees the boy again, and then Priscilla is there, but runs away. And Lori turns to look at the boy, and he gone too.
Yep.
So Lori follows Priscilla into the woods, Karen, down by the creek. Priscilla says that she did not see the boy, but she knows that Lori did. And she's making a doll, Karen.
Priscilla is making a doll. She says she's just like Jenny, who didn't leave quick enough. So Jenny must have had some sort of power they were looking for too.
Next, we cut to Lori talking to Mr. Cato. And she's standing
very close to her.
Tells him she does not want to be a witch.
Yeah, she goes to see him at his office or something. It's just the two of them.
Yeah, he says, "Isn't it a little soon to be making those decisions, Miss Brandon?" She tells him that he cannot control her like he does her husband. And Mr. Cato tells Lori that the one power he wants is necromancy, because she talks about how powerful he is, but the only power he wants is necromancy, the power to bring back the dead.
And he doesn't have that.
He doesn't. He tells Lori that she was brought to the town for one reason, to bring life to the dead, to bring his son back.
And we do see the flashback of the drowning girl. So I don't know if he knows about that incident or she's just thinking about it. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, because she has power over life, he says, which he does not have. Next, we see Lori reading about necromancy. And she learns that whoever is successful in performing the ritual must give their life for the one they are trying to bring back. And she says, "Oh, hell no. I ain't doing that."
Well, she figures out to perform the ceremony, she's going to have to die.
Yeah.
A life for a life. I mean, I wouldn't be too keen on that either. She doesn't like these people anyway. It's not like she's going to do them a favor.
Next, we see Lori at the swing set again. No kid there, but she breaks the chains to get in to the fenced-in swing set.
She picks up a rock to break the lock that's holding the chain. She gets in there.
That always works, Karen.
Does it? No.
In the movies, it does.
And once she's in there, she sees the boy again.
And he approaches her.
Georgette arrives. And she says that she can see the boy too, but she really can't.
No, because she keeps looking down and the boy's left. Lori can put her hand on his shoulder.
Yes.
Like she can see him and touch him, basically.
Yes. And Lori accuses Georgette of being a witch and renouncing her faith in God. Georgette says they have their own God. Next, we see Frank and Lori arriving at Dr. J's house for their dinner party.
And Frank says he believes her. And they kiss, and she says she loves him. She says she loves him a lot. He never says it back to her.
Yeah, he does.
But when she kisses him, he says he wants to go home. He's feeling amorous, but she says they won't stay long. And when they he
tells her that when he's like fixing her feet and shit, carrying her up the stairs and all that bullshit.
Well, she said it, but he didn't.
I'm pretty sure he did.
But the house is dark.
Frank's a good guy, Karen. I'm defending Frank all of a sudden. I guess us men have to stick together or something. I don't know, Karen. Just triggered me.
Okay, sorry. I think it was just a way to make her the outsider from everyone. You know, they're isolating her. That's all. The movie script. I don't mean Frank.
So they arrive at Dr. J's house. The lights are all out.
And she says they're not home.
They're not home.
But he insists on going to the door and ringing the bell.
Yeah.
Like he knows they're there. And so at this point, I started to wonder, is he setting her up? Like, does he know all of this, you know, from the very beginning that she has this ability? Karen. And, you know,
Karen.
So it took me this long to figure out that he might have been setting her up.
So the lights come on. Dr. J comes and opens the door.
Yeah. Why would he know that a dark house would have people in it? So, yeah, it took me till now.
Yeah. They walk in and Dr. J and all the other, looks like all the females. I didn't see any of the guys.
That's what I said. Why is he the only dude in there?
All wearing their white robes.
Yep.
And he wants them to join their coven.
He does say witchcraft is the only religion that makes things happen now in this life, which I thought was interesting. And everyone in Lilith believes and practices it.
And Dr. J has a soliloquy or some shit, but basically he ends that he tells Lori that she's afraid that they might just have the answers she wants or some shit like that, right?
They're trying to open the locked doors in her mind.
Next, we see Lori reading the book she said she wasn't going to read again.
Yep, the grimoire. So here you're right. The only true God is the old God, the horned one.
The horned one. He reflects the true image of man, both good and bad. Baphomet, I assume, is what they're talking about. Next, we see Lori in bed, and all of a sudden the boy is in her bedroom, Karen.
Yeah, she wakes up and sees him standing next to her.
But she don't want him to leave. She wants to take him to the others to prove that he exists. So she tells him to go downstairs and wait for her to get dressed, Karen.
I don't know why she thinks she can do that when Georgette couldn't see him.
I don't know.
Maybe she thinks someone will see him.
So
but yes,
Lori
she sends him downstairs.
Yeah, she gets dressed in her mini skirt and
she is cute.
Sweater.
She's adorable.
She's lovely. She's a lovely Pamela Franklin, Karen. Goes down to look for the boy, but can't find him. She opens the door to the basement, and it closes behind her, locking her in. Then we spend I feel like is a long time, too long in the basement looking for the boy.
Yes, but the light switch doesn't work either.
Nope.
So she has to go and she goes into the dark because she hears something. She hears a cat. She's afraid. Then she hears
a child crying.
She looks around some more, and then the boy is behind her, smiling, and he beckons her to come to him.
Yep.
And he backs up into the darkness, and she follows him.
And then there's rats, Karen. Jump scare rat.
Yep.
And a bunch of them. And they all come out, and they're attacking Lori on the floor, and then they gone, just like that.
She looks down, and there's nothing there.
Yep.
Wouldn't you think at this point you were going nuts? And
Maybe.
you're seeing things that no one else is seeing. You turn around, the boy is gone. There were rats all over you 1 second ago, and then
I might stop drinking all that bitter coffee and shit.
yeah. She just kind of goes on like, oh well, okay, I just hallucinated rats, but I'm just going to go on with my day.
And then the door opens to the basement.
Yeah.
Then we see Lori walking. I don't know where she's walking, but she's
Outside.
walking
On the
outside.
sidewalk. Yeah.
But I don't know where she was or where she's going, but see an ambulance, and apparently Georgette had a miscarriage.
Shocking.
Next, we see Lori at the store looking for Priscilla, but she ain't there yet. Dr. J is, though.
Lori goes up the stairs, still looking for Priscilla.
Dr. J tells Lori that she's standing inside the sacred circle because he just put it there.
Yes, they've just completed it.
For the ceremony.
The initiation of a new witch.
That's right. They're welcoming a new witch into the coven. And she
that's
says,
right,
oh, hell no.
That's right where the new witch will stand.
Nope.
What?
She says, I'm leaving.
Yep.
And Priscilla's there now, and they stop her, and Priscilla's holding a doll that looks a lot like Georgette, Karen, with a ripped neck or something.
Oh, did it look like Georgette?
Yeah, it was Georgette's picture.
I thought it looked like Lori.
No,
okay.
it was Georgette.
That's why I got confused. I was like, that doesn't quite look right, but yes, she ripped open the neck.
And Lori says that Frank will take her away. And Dr. J says he doubts it. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Oh, really?
The next Lori back at home, and she calls into the office.
The doc says you waited too long. Frank's
like
already, Frank's been seduced
is like a drug
by its pleasures.
Next, Lori calls the office for Frank, but no one seems to know where he is. So she says, I think I'll call Nancy. She works with Frank. Maybe she knows where he is.
That's his work wife.
Yeah. Hello, Nancy. Did you see Frank at work today? Oh, no, he went back to Los Angeles.
Well, Nancy's the head of the travel department or something. So she assures Lori that Frank tried to call her before he left, but he had to go to LA.
Mm-hmm. Then Nancy hangs up the phone and leans back in bed, exposing her two bare breasts again with Frank there.
So are we up to 4, or since we've seen them
That's
already?
just 2.
Okay.
Same 2. I mean, it's basically the same scene we saw earlier.
On the tarot card, yes.
Right.
Yeah, so Frank is banging Nancy. He's gone.
As you do.
That's why Mr. Cato said a week. Stay a week, and if you still want to leave, because Frank is all in now.
Give it a week. See what happens. See what pops up.
What would you last? 12 hours?
I don't know, Karen. That's interesting.
15 minutes.
It'd be a dilemma. Quite the dilemma for me.
Really?
Quite the dilemma, yeah. Would be.
Well, I don't think you really have much control. It's just how easily you give in to temptation, I guess.
All the control in the world.
Frank doesn't. He's with Nancy.
Well, he's weak.
Yep.
So next we see Lori tearing apart the doll. Of course, she doesn't know that Frank's with Nancy, but she's tearing apart the doll and she throws it into the fireplace.
But even if he's not with Nancy, he left to go to LA, and she's been begging to leave the city forever, and he just up and leaves without her. I'd be pissed too.
Yeah.
Either way.
I might head out on foot.
Yeah.
Through the woods. They can't have the whole perimeter guarded, can they? Pretty small town, Karen. But anyway, and then the flames of the doll.
Yeah, she throws the doll in the fire.
She sees herself being initiated into the coven, ? I wrote.
Yes.
And then we see 2 more bare breasts, Karen. We see hers for a minute.
Yes.
The lovely Pamela Franklin.
Very briefly. Because she's changing into robes.
Yes. Then there's this whole ceremony. But then I wrote, Wait a minute. I don't think they want us to hear all the ceremony because the music gets really loud and at points and we can't hear what they're saying, Karen.
Yeah,
Could that be?
They don't want you to know the satanic rites.
They're not satanic rites. Just initiation into the coven.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But she does repeat the oath while she's watching the flames. So she's seeing it's a vision of her presumably in the future because the phone rings.
Phone rings. It's Priscilla. She says that she will help Lori and she wants to go with her.
Priscilla, do you think she's telling the truth?
Don't know, but she tells her to meet her in the woods by the creek where they met before and tells her that Frank is a witch now.
Yep, just like the rest
tells
of them.
That. So then Lori goes to meet Priscilla in the woods. She gets there and she finds the doll and then she sees Priscilla in the creek. She gone.
Dead in the water. So was the doll next to her the Georgette doll or was it a doll of Priscilla that was now in the water?
I don't remember.
I couldn't see it. I just saw the doll. So I assumed someone made a doll.
I thought it might have been Lori, but maybe it was Priscilla. I don't know. But
Priscilla's the doll maker. So I don't know if she would make her own doll and then kill herself.
Well,
I don't know. So I didn't know.
Maybe that was because Lori runs home and she hears the words in her head of Dr. Cato initiating her in the coven. And then she cuts a lock of her own hair and glues it to the head of a doll. So she's making a doll of herself.
She is. And she cuts out her face from a picture and puts it on the doll. So she's making a hex doll of herself.
Just like maybe Priscilla did.
Maybe
she understood then that that's the only way out.
Ah, I see. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
After saying Priscilla had done the same thing. I don't know. Next we cut to, she sees Mr. Cato in the mirror.
In the mirror performing the ceremony.
Yeah.
And I said, oh no, it's a baby goat.
And then a goat tied down for a sacrifice. And we see Lori holding a knife above it, but one of them has their hands on her hand, forcing her to do it. But there's some dude wearing a Baphomet mask next to her. And she stabs the doll. Then we see her stab the man and back and forth, right?
Well, the man is Frank.
It is Frank.
Yeah.
But we don't know it, or I didn't know
it
until he took the mask off after she'd already stabbed him. And apparently she didn't know it either because she recoils in horror.
Yes, she doesn't want to kill the goat. So she acts like she's kind of going to kill the goat, but she stabs the man next to her, which turns out to be Frank. And he is in the mask. Yes.
Wearing the Baphomet mask.
Yes.
Next, we see Lori lying on the floor. And she stabbed her own doll many times, too, right? With the scissors.
Yes.
See Lori lying on the floor. And then the boy is there and gives her a mushroom, Karen.
Yes, this was... Okay. He's eating the mushroom. And then he bends over and gives her a bite of the mushroom.
Yeah.
And then he continues eating it.
And then we have flashbacks.
I said everything instantly gets psychedelic.
And Lori prays.
She's floating in space. She's reliving everything up until all the visions. And then she starts praying. Yes.
Yep. There's a montage of
the drive there, the car crashing, all of the boy on the swing.
Priscilla hanging, the boy kissing Lori. We see Lori topless. So there's two more bare breasts. Same ones, though.
No, I didn't even make a note of that.
Yeah, Pamela's two bare breasts show up again twice in this montage, I think. So there's a montage. Flashbacks. Then the boy leaves the house. Lori walks out to join him in her jumper, Karen.
I said a very groovy jumpsuit.
And they walk away hand in hand. Next, we see Lori at the grave of the boy.
So she's back to where she saw them originally when the car ran out of gas.
Yep.
And she's a little woozy, but she's there.
Yes. Dr. Cato and the coven are performing a ceremony. And it gets dark all of a sudden. And Lori kneels by the casket. They're raising the casket. Lori kneels
out of
by
the ground,
it.
yeah.
Yep. She touches it and the lid opens just from her touch, which is weird.
Yes.
Pretty cool. And we see the skeletal remains of the boy. But then as they're performing the ceremony,
Cato keeps saying, Return my son.
Yes.
Return my son. And
So it transforms into the actual boy.
Yeah, it was okay. First he got a blue face, like he didn't have oxygen, and then a regular face, and then his eyes open.
And then we see Dr. J grabbing Lori and putting her in the casket. And they all close the lid and lower it into the grave, and Lori screams.
Yeah, she beats the top of the coffin or casket. She's not. I'm thinking, why didn't they just kill her and put her in there? Why does she have to go in screaming like that?
Next, we cut to an alarm clock, Karen. 7:28 a.m. or something like that. And they're back at the house in Los Angeles. And Lori says she had a terrible nightmare.
It was a horrible nightmare and long.
Frank brings her orange juice. This time Lori begins to drink it and stops and smells it. But then she carries on the same conversation that they had earlier, asking how long it will take to get to Lilith. And she does spill the juice, just like she did before. And we cut to them coming down the stairs.
Yeah, and
she stops and stares at the phone.
It's like Groundhog Day. She's waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah, she just stops and stares.
And happy music plays
and stares.
Because the phone's not ringing.
And stares.
Yes.
And stares. And Frank asks if she is okay. And she stares. And finally she says, "Oh, everything's fine." And then the phone rings.
And she says, "Don't answer it."
Yeah. She begs Frank not to answer it. But he does. And it's the same thing that happened earlier. It's someone from Lilith calling to see if they'll be there in time for lunch.
Yeah. He says it's someone from Lilith. And she says,
calling
to make sure we'll be there in time for lunch with Mr. Cato. And she starts running up the stairs screaming.
And then he says, "You're really going to like it there." And we hear that over and over and over again as she backs herself into a corner screaming. The end. Credits. All right, Karen. Anything you were pleasantly surprised or really enjoyed in this film other than the lovely Pamela Franklin?
Well, she is a lovely, lovely lady for sure. And she's a good actress. I thought she was good. They probably started with the veiled birth and thought, sometimes you read about something and it's so unique and you think, oh, we can make something from this. I like how they weaved that, made her special, showed her reviving, in quotation marks, the drowning girl, so that she would be, Mr. Cato would need her for her uniqueness. That, he probably has scoured the country looking for someone who can do this because it's the one thing he can't do. So I like how they weaved that story in through the whole movie. That's what I liked. What did you like?
Well, I liked the lovely Pamela Franklin.
Of course.
I thought she was fantastic. I thought Orson Welles was awesome too. I'm reading about it, and his biographer suggests that he took the role just for the money, which I can believe. Absolutely believe, but I don't think he phoned it in like he.
I do. He does have a commanding presence, though. It just felt to me like he was just a notch above everyone else. He felt almost out of place.
He really didn't have to do a whole lot in it either.
No, but you could just tell.
He probably did his whole thing in one day.
That he was so much better than everyone else that he almost seemed out of place. And then I felt like maybe that's what made me feel like he was phoning it in, because he's just such a presence. You can tell watching him. I mean, she seemed sort of okay next to him, but everyone else just seemed, but again,
she wasn't as good as him. Yeah, she was.
No, but
there were things about her that bothered her, which we'll get to when we talk about problems that we have with, but
I guess they are supposed to all be weaker than he is. So that part is conveyed well, but I don't know. I think he's just too good for this film. Is my opinion.
Okay.
And you can tell. So it was I think distracting is the word I'm looking for. He was so much better than everyone else. It's distracting to try to watch it.
Okay, so should we move on to things we didn't like? All right, Karen. What things were you disappointed in or have issue with?
I had trouble with Frank and Lori's relationship. I just found it annoying from the start to the finish of this movie. She comes off poorly as someone who just, I guess, just won't go with the flow and kind of is a stick in the mud, or just doesn't, instead of rooting for her as the hero, I found her annoying, which was difficult because I think I don't know if it was the script, which it seems to have been, but you're supposed to root for the hero. And I didn't care. I was like, whatever, become part of the coven, do what you need to do. And then I couldn't figure out, was she actually part of the coven? Because in the end, she did raise him from the dead. So was what she was seeing in the fire some sort of memory? Because I was thinking it was some sort of future thing. But what if she's actually seeing all these hallucinations as memories? Like, are they drugging her with all these bitter drinks and then all these things are happening and then she's remembering them?
Maybe.
I couldn't tell if she was envisioning the future or envisioning the past, or I was very confused and couldn't follow. And I still think she might have been dead the whole time.
So number one, Pamela
Franklin's
an English actress.
Oh.
And I felt like she was trying to not speak with an English accent. So that kind of was the first thing that kind of threw me off. Like every now and then it slips through.
Yeah.
But I think she's trying to sound American.
Okay. Fair
That was
enough.
number one. Yeah, I was confused most of the time. Like you said.
Yeah, you couldn't tell.
And I feel like, well, her questioning, I think, well, that's probably, like, I guess the writers or director or whatever felt like they needed to have her do that shit to be sure everyone understood what was going on.
But we didn't understand it anyway.
But you're true. She doesn't come off very well, especially when she's talking to like the homies and or the townies.
She's basically telling them they're all stupid.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And they're all witches.
I know. She's pissing everybody off. Tread lightly.
But she's so confident that, Frank will take her away, but maybe not. I did recognize Frank from other things.
He comes off like a milquetoast, though. Like he just has no spine, and she wears the pants in the relationship, but not really, because he doesn't do anything she says or asks. And you think, she just lost a baby. If she really was that uncomfortable in the new place, you would think that you would say, okay, I get it. Let's go. You would need to find somewhere to comfort someone. They made a nice looking couple. I will say that.
Yeah.
But I just hated their relationship.
Yeah. I don't know. It was weird.
It was very odd. It was an odd one.
It's weird.
I mean, maybe it's supposed to be about temptation or something. I don't know. But they didn't explain. They said there's no one over 30 there except Mr. Cato. They didn't explain why. What difference does that make? Why is there no one over 30? And what
was
happens
kind of an interesting twist when they said that if she brings the child back to life, then they can all have children in the town.
Yes, which makes them want to be part of it so that they can move on with their lives. That makes it easier for them to sacrifice her to do it. So that is, yes, a good manipulation technique. But where are the people over 30? Do they just kill everybody? Major questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently Pamela Franklin and Dr. J met on this film and got married.
Aw.
The guy who played Dr. J, anyway.
Well, he did fix up her feet.
Yes, he did. So Orson Welles wasn't even 57. He was younger. Because it says they met. They were married in 70 and they met on this film of this set, even though the film was not released until 72. So he must have been like 55, 54, which is even worse for Orson Welles when filming.
True, but they may have tried to make him look older too. I'm sure they could have made him look better if they wanted to, but he was creepy, commanding.
Yeah, so this film predates The Legend of Hell House.
Oh, really?
This came out in 72. Legend of Hell House came out in 73. All right, Karen, anything else you hated about this film?
I didn't hate it. I just found it
I didn't like it. What about the ending, Karen?
No, I didn't like that at all.
I
At
didn't
first,
either.
I thought, oh my God, they're going to make it a dream. Like
Yeah,
what a cop out.
but almost worse than a dream is a premonition that is a dream that's a premonition that comes true.
Yes. So no, I didn't like it. I think they should have just left it. She died.
I give him credit for trying to be different.
And then show the town with a bunch of kids.
Yeah, that would have been
or
good.
something like that. So yes, unfortunately,
Yeah, she's gone, but everyone else is happy. They all
right
have until they reach 30, then they all have to leave.
Yeah, and then some kid turns around and smiles at the camera wickedly or something. It
turns into Logan's Run after that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Karen. Comments on the Negroni cocktail, Karen? Do you have any comments on it? Did you enjoy it?
I do not like Campari. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's just way too bitter for me. So I did not enjoy the cocktail, no. I know it's very popular and a lot of people really do like it, but it's just not for me.
Karen, might you be a super taster?
Shut up. It's a thing. I'm telling you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
People like me don't drink coffee because it's too bitter.
I don't like coffee either.
I don't like coffee ice cream. I don't like Kahlua. I don't like anything that has that coffee taste. It's just, if it's bitter, I have a hard time with it.
Okay.
And this is very bitter. So I had one sip. I tasted it, but no, not for me.
It's much better than the Camp Crystal Lake, which is the last Campari drink we had, I think.
That's going to go down in our Hall of Fame as the worst drink. Every drink terrible. Will be, well, I don't really like this one, but it's not as bad as Camp Crystal Lake.
That one was bad. This one, it wasn't as bad.
This one's a sophisticated drink, I think. It just makes you think. The
sweet vermouth
makes
it out. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But it just seems like a classy drink for a classy bar, listening to jazz or something. Drinking your Negroni,
sticking your cigar in it.
Yeah.
Sucking on it.
Just seems like that kind of drink. Jazz club drink to me.
All right. Anything we learned today, Karen?
What did we learn? A little bit about Lilith and about veiled births.
Veiled births.
But why Lilith was badass.
Yeah.
That's
anything else?
That's all I came up with. They did talk about astrology. What's your sign, Greg?
I'm a Sagittarius with the Taurus rising.
Ooh.
Are you surprised that I know that?
Yes, I am. Did some Wiccan person tell you that?
I have books, or I had a book. It had like the star charts going back, you could figure out what was going on the time of your birth.
Oh, you know the time of your birth?
Yes.
Interesting.
On the birth certificate.
No.
My weight isn't, because I looked for it today because you asked me last week how much I weighed.
Your weight is not on there, but your time is?
Yeah. I believe so. I was born in the afternoon. I know that. It was a Monday. Anything else we learned?
I don't think so. Maybe a little bit about Orson Welles, but...
A little bit. Wasn't very old, but he looked it. Especially if they did this, filmed it in like for 1970 or 69 or something.
Yeah.
That pushes his age back to like 54, 55. All right, Karen. What kind of cocktail rating are we giving this film?
I think it's a 4.
4 cocktails, you say?
I think the acting's fine, but it was just so confusing. Maybe I missed something. And if
I
this
agree.
Is someone's favorite film and you can explain to me what happened.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's anyone's favorite film.
If it is, email me at Karen@scaryspirits.com and explain it to me. Because sometimes when I'm trying to record what's happening, maybe I look down and I missed something exceedingly important, but I just could not follow whether she was in the present, the past.
No, you didn't miss it, Karen.
Okay. Whether she was dead or alive, or Frank was setting her up or not. It was...
Well, he was definitely setting her up.
Yeah. Took me a while to figure that out. But yeah, I think it's a 4.
It's a 4. Took us 4 cocktails to get through this.
Ugh, 4 Negronis. Ugh.
All right, Karen, I believe next week is your choice. Is it not?
It is.
What film have you chosen for us next week?
I have chosen the film The Addiction.
The Addiction from 1995, Karen.
Yes, that's the film I have chosen.
The last episode of September.
So we are still on our back to school theme.
Okay.
Although this is graduate school.
Grad school.
And I did see this in the theater.
Did you?
Yes, in Baltimore.
Do you have a cocktail for The Addiction, Karen?
I do.
Go on.
It's called the Black and White Cocktail. Because even though this film was made around 1995, it is filmed in black and white.
Okay. What are we going to need?
You're going to need 2 ounces of heavy cream, 1 ounce of vanilla flavored vodka, 1.5 ounces of chocolate liqueur, and chocolate swizzle sticks for garnish if you want.
Okay. Sounds delicious.
It does, I think. It's an artsy film, but it has vampires. So,
And vampires are cool.
yeah.
What is that? Why you picked it?
Well, it's my back to school theme. And I know it's about grad students. It is about kind of their graduation. So it's not really back to school, but it has to do with school. And it's different. Like I said, it's artsy and full of philosophical shit. So we'll see.
Okay. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
I'd like to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thanks for spending time with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
What about you, Greg?
Well, I need to thank everyone who listened to our Wicked Ramblings episode that came out Sunday.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one. I liked it.
Going to Horror Films 101 with Dr. Craig Fisher. Lots of good information in that one.
You don't even realize how much you don't know until you talk to someone who knows a shit ton. And he knows a shit ton about horror movies. He does not pick his horror movies by saying vampires are cool.
No. He's forgotten more about horror films than I will ever know.
Yes. He's amazing with his ability to just pull them out of his head and talk about them.
Yeah.
Any movie we mentioned, he's like, oh, yeah. And he would go off on who the director and blah, 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 and whatever.
And someone who wrote an essay about it. And
whether he agreed or not. And we couldn't come up with one he didn't know.
No.
I think there might be some he hasn't seen, but there's none that we could come up with that he did not know. It was very interesting and definitely worth a listen. So if you haven't listened, go back and find it.
Karen, I need to thank the great people of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and, of course, the band Verse 13 for providing all the music on the Scary Spirits podcast.
Yeah, Kentucky stepped up this week. Way to tune in.
All right. Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.